This is a video tutorial on how to get one of our muzzle inserts, the rubber type, either the pony or horse diet or regular insert, to fit in a GreenGuard muzzle that does not have the little openings here, so one of the older style grazing muzzles. So if you have the older style grazing muzzle and want to use an insert, you are in the right place. Some things that you're going to need before we get started, you're going to need either some really good scissors or some type of exacto knife or some sharp cutting blade of some kind. You're going to need either zip ties or these are plastic Chicago screws. I'll talk a little bit more about them later. You can also use regular Chicago screws that are metal, but those can cause tooth damage depending on where they are located. Or some people use zip ties. My horses are too aggressive for these and they don't last long enough for them, so I prefer this option, and we'll kind of get into all that. And you will also likely need a drill with, if you're using these, you're going to need a 1/4 inch drill bit, which is what I have here. And I believe that's all the supplies that you're going to need to get your grazing muzzle insert to fit into your grazing muzzle. So I have already started the process of removing the tabs on this one, and I actually found that using scissors, they cut away pretty easily. And these are good scissors. They're not like safety scissors or anything, but it does leave a little bit of an edge there. So that's something that if you want it to really fit flush in with your muzzle, you might want to have an exacto knife or something just to kind of take that little corner off, which I'm just gonna do right here really quick. So you may not need to do this, but I think it will help make everything fit just a little better. And you can cut the tabs off with an exacto knife as well. I just wanted to see if the scissors would do it, because most people have scissors laying around the house. They may not have an exacto knife, or you know, something like a pocket knife might work. Definitely be careful when you're doing this. I should be cutting away from me, not towards me, to take those little corners off. Let's see if I can get that one. All right, so I might need to round a few more of those edges off, which I will do off camera if I need to, but once you have all the tabs removed, it should look basically like this. So once you have that, now it's time to work on the muzzle. I apologize for how this muzzle looks. This one has been around the block, which is great because you know that they can last a long time. And it's really dirty. I really should have cleaned this before I brought it home from the barn, but the horse that wears this is what I like to refer to as a super chewer. You can already see how much damage he's done in the bottom of this muzzle. It's almost worn through in a couple places, and you can see that I have holes in this, and that's why I wanted to use this one, is because I already had holes. So we have been testing a leather insert on this muzzle, and that's why it already has the holes. That's another option that we will have coming out soon. And before we have the slot option, we were drilling holes in the muzzles to attach it. So that's what we're gonna do here. So because I already have my holes drilled, you can decide if you want to drill this one. I'm not sure if you can see, has one in all 4 corners and then one halfway between each corner. So 8 holes altogether. And basically, what we're going to do is we're going to be placing the insert in the muzzle, and we're going to secure it with, you can either like tape around it or use the zip tie to secure it in place. And then if you don't have holes drilled already, most of you probably won't, you're just going to secure this, and then you're going to take your drill and just drill through all the holes where you want them. So I am going to go ahead and use my zip tie here. I'm gonna go around this part and got it facing the wrong way. And I'm going to just do this just to secure it in place. And that way it's being held still and I can cut this off later. Okay, get that nice and tight. Okay, so I'm not gonna be able to use that hole because it's drilled out. We've been testing a lot of different snaps, as you can see. So I am not going to use that hole. I'm gonna use all 4 corners and then the 2 sides. And I'm going to not use the very top and very bottom. So I'm just gonna do 6. For now, I can always add more later. And so basically, I just need to mark where these holes are. And I'm just gonna use my Exacto knife to do this. If you have like a Sharpie that's like, has like the silver color, oh, I actually didn't need to mark that one. You might be able to like actually put a mark on there. A pen or a regular Sharpie might show up. Sometimes they have a little metallic-y color, but I'm just doing like a little dot. Actually, I'm gonna grab a Sharpie and see if that'll work. Okay, grabbing a Sharpie. So let's see if that makes a dot. And if you don't already have holes, you can just do this on the inside, which honestly, it's easier to drill the holes both at the same time. Yeah, that's making a little bit of a mark. It's easier to drill both the holes at the same time with it secured in here rather than trying to match up a new insert to old muzzle holes. So that'll actually be easier for you because you won't have to do this step. You'll just mark on the inside and then drill straight through where you want everything. So I'm gonna do that for one and just hope that I'm accurate, and we will see what we get. All right, so I'm gonna try to do this corner hole, and I'm gonna hope that I've gotten it lined up straight. I have not tried to drill through this material yet, so we'll see. We'll see what we get. So that actually drills really nicely. I like to run the drill a couple times. Just to really clear that hole out, and actually that was a lot easier than I was anticipating, so that's good. And so now for the rest of them, what I would actually do is remove the zip tie and then lay this on a surface where I could drill out all the holes that I marked. But for your muzzle, once you have it secured and you know where you want to put all your holes, you're just going to drill straight through the insert and through the muzzle at the same time. The plastic drills fairly easily. If you're doing the snaps, sometimes you might have to clean out the holes just a little bit if there's some like bits and pieces of plastic kind of hanging out. So that's what I'll use my little Exacto knife to kind of just clean out those holes a little bit. And I might have to do that here with this rubber too. Now, if you're going to be securing it with these snaps, you need that 1/4 inch drill bit. You can find these by Googling plastic Chicago screws. They look like screws, but they actually snap into place. I spent a lot of time trying to screw them into place, and they don't hold that way. They actually snap, and I'll show you once we get this put in how those go in. And then the other option is if you drill smaller holes, you can drill holes and just send a zip tie through. So if I was gonna do the zip tie option, I would drill like maybe 2 small holes across the corner and do a zip tie going up and through around. You wanna make sure this part is on the outside, and then kind of trim it down so that these aren't out there to like poke anyone. And then I would do the same thing maybe in each corner, and maybe one along each side as well. So just like 2 little holes so you can send the zip tie through. The holes could be further apart or closer together depending on how long the zip ties are, and the hole that you drill will just depend on the size of zip tie that you plan to use. So that's another option. Like I said, my horses can get their teeth basically anywhere in the bottom of the muzzle, so they break zip ties pretty quickly. So I like the snap version, and I also mentioned that you can use the metal Chicago screws, but like I said, if your horse can get your teeth on them, it can cause tooth damage, so I really recommend the plastic. They last a long time, at least the ones that I've tested so far. And if you're having trouble locating these plastic snaps, just reach out to our email, because I've had to buy them from different sources just because of supply issues and things like that. So I found them from several different retailers. I believe I've even found them on Amazon. But it is important, you want to make sure that the length of this part is pretty close to the thickness of the muzzle itself and the thickness of the insert, which I did not measure before we started, and I think it's actually slightly thicker than the leather that I was working with before. So I'm gonna grab a ruler because now I'm curious. It is 3/8 of an inch. So if you can find one that is 3/8, that would be the size that you would want to get. All right, so the nice thing is the rubber kind of squishes, so even if you don't get it in there perfectly, just kind of get it started. And then I've even hit these with a hammer. It's kind of hard to hit with a hammer down in the muzzle basket, but if you just get it on a hard surface and then take something hard on the other side and put some weight down on it, it usually engages really easily. And yeah, that's not moving at all. All right, well, I'm gonna keep going and finish this, and I will come back with the finished product for you to look at. Again, sorry my muzzle's gross, but I needed to get this done tonight for the horse that's gonna use it tomorrow. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you how I use the snaps. And again, if you were gonna do the zip tie method, you would just send, and actually you can send it around the corner, and I'll go ahead and just show you that while we're here. So this would be another option. I just don't trust my horses with this option. So you would send the zip tie through the hole and then out the corner, and then attach your zip tie. I'm not gonna attach this one because I'm not gonna use that method. The only thing that I don't love about this is that the insert can move around a little bit more. With the other versions, it's held in there a lot more secure, so it's less likely to like pop up and shift around or get things trapped between the insert and the actual muzzle. So I prefer, if you're gonna do the zip ties, go ahead and drill 2 holes kind of close together and then just kind of send it through, like I mentioned. All right, so let me get my snap, and this is the one side, and I'm going to, because it's rubber, it should stretch around this a little bit, but I may need to clean the hole out just a little bit. in order to get the snap through. So I'm going to grab my exacto knife. This is the first time I'm doing this hack, so bear with me a little bit as I kind of figure it out. But the horse that I'm doing this for really needs it tomorrow, so I'm determined to make it work. And hopefully if I make any mistakes, you can learn from them. So yeah, it does look like we have a little bit of rubber debris, which when I finish all the holes, probably the best idea would be for me to take that orange zip tie out and then just clean up all the holes with it, not still attached to the muzzle. But and another option would be you can get, that's exactly a 1/4 inch drill bit. If you have one that's slightly bigger, that might alleviate this issue. Okay, so I've got the snap started through there. Here we go. And yeah, there's a big chunk of rubber on the other side. Okay. And when you get the snaps, they come in different lengths. And we've been working with these with leather inserts, and so I'm not sure. I think these are like just shy of a 1/2 inch. So how these go in here is the end that looks like a screw just goes in, and then I put it on a hard surface, and I'm actually just gonna use the bottom of my drill to press down. It should press together, and you'll know it's fully engaged if you can pull up on the insert and it doesn't move. So I got that there, and that's what they look like. And most of the time that I've used these, they've lasted for most of the season. Usually the insert wears out before the snaps come off. You may occasionally have to replace 1 or 2. But the more snaps I get in here, the easier it will be for me to drill through. So I'm just gonna hold this side down and drill through on this side and show you one more before we go. Much easier to drill from this direction. So I know exactly what the hole was. And then my extra rubber. So you can kind of see how the rubber in there, it looks like a clean hole on the other side, but then where it exited, it's kind of messy. So that's where cleaning it up with an exacto knife is really handy. And this will be easier to do this way. All 6 of my snaps. I actually had to drill a new hole in this one because the hole that was drilled here was way too close to the corner, and so I actually tried to drill this hole and messed up the corner of the insert there, so I had to drill a new hole, but that's what it looks like from the inside. And then basically this is ready to go now. I just need to obviously clean up my straps. The guy that wears this is a little bit of a Houdini too, so he gets lots of extra straps. But this is it, and I did drill a hole there, but then I realized I wasn't going to do the top and bottom, and that hole's too big to hold the Chicago screws anyway, so it just gets an extra hole. But yeah, so this is what I did. Let us know how it works for you, or if you have any questions or run into any issues, or if you come up with a better solution. We are all ears. We would love to see your creative ideas.